This is a presentation on an equity investigation and improvement plan by Joshua Lewis, American College of Education. This was done for the LEAD 6133 Ethical Leadership and Social Justice class under the leadership of Dr. Heidi Schmidt. The two schools that I'm going to compare are in the Hrupa Unified School District, located in Southern California. The district's mission statement is by fostering a growth mindset in every child, Hrupa Unified empowers each child to unlock their potential to succeed in career, in school, and in life. And we call this learning without limits. Take a look at the learning environments for both schools. First of all, the demographics. Patriot has just over 2,000 students, and Rubidoux has just over 1,500. Socioeconomically, more students are disadvantaged at Rubidoux High School, and there are also more English learners at Rubidoux High School. One of the statistics that I want to focus on for this presentation is the performance of students in meeting the college requirements. Our district aim is to make all students college and career ready. And according to the data, we're not doing too well. In California, the University of California requirements are for students to complete 15-year-long high school courses with a letter grade of C or better. 11 of those must be completed prior to their junior year. Students may also meet the requirements by completing college courses. We call this dual enrollment, or they can earn a passing score on the SAT, an advanced placement exam, or an international baccalaureate exam. At Patriot High School, only 37% of the students met the University of California A to G requirements, and at Rubidoux High School, only 32% of the students. So in both schools, even though one is slightly more fluent, not really preparing students to be able to enroll in college. Additionally, both schools are over 50 years old. They both have a current state adopted materials aligned to the state standards. They both have one-to-one Chromebooks for both, and they both have an average class size of 24-1. Their facilities are in need of renovations to meet the technical educational infrastructure requirements. They need to be more flexible, more innovative, more technology rich. The 24-1 is a local control funding formula target here in California. And even though that they do have materials that are aligned to the state standards, that's only one piece of it. Accessibility to the curriculum is only made when teachers have the appropriate professional development. Take a look at the stakeholder perceptions. I used the Local Control Accountability Plan survey. The Local Control Accountability Plan is a tool here in California. We have accountability, and this LCAP, or Local Control Accountability Plan, is a tool for local agencies to set goals, planned actions, and leverage resources to meet and improve student outcomes. The survey is one part of that tool where we survey staff, students, and parents to determine what are their perceptions of the schools. And in this survey, one of the questions focused on if they feel that they have opportunities to be involved in district decision making. And overall, as a district, 71% of the parents felt that they did have the ability or opportunity to get involved. It also looked at for students, do the students feel like the climate and learning environment is positive at the school? And 90% of the students felt that it was. It also looked at staff and if they felt like they had a collaborative culture and 84.5% of the staff felt like they had extremely or moderately satisfaction with the school or site department collaborative culture. Take a look at the author perceptions. Rosenthal stated, compliance or the rules are only the floor to build on. And what he meant by this, and I think what he would speak to the schools here, is leaders need to consider the multiple identities that shape our thinking. How, and also how do the collective groups that make up these schools, the communities, the staff social identities, and the staff social collective groups influence our actions? Because it is those identities, as Rosenthal would point out, that shape, the rules of the game and the possibilities that influence us. Ultimately, we each individually have the choice to decide. It's not just the rules that make us all become robots and do things. It's our individual makeups that also, and our collective makeups that also influence our decision making, not just the rules alone. Schwartz was another author we looked at in Module 8, and he mentioned that, like water, they found cracks. And what he was referring to, that some teachers are rule benders and some leaders are rule benders in a good way. They find ways to make things work. So even though there might be certain rules set in place that actually are barriers, such as certain requirements that don't allow kids to have access to certain courses so that they could be prepared for college or get accepted to college, or maybe students that don't statistically seem like they would pass the SAT or the AP exams, or even have the abilities to do well in college in a dual enrolled class. They still allow them and they work with them to meet their needs. It's kind of like if all students came to school ready to run a race. Some students will come to that race with just not even wearing the right tennis shoes to run the race. And some students may not even be at the starting line. They might be a mile behind the starting line. Teachers and leaders, the ones that find a way or find find the cracks like water does, they are the ones that are going to make sure there's equity and make sure that all students succeed. My recommendations, if I were a stakeholder or leader at these schools, is to use a multi-tiered system of support. Tier 1 would be the best first instruction, screening students to find out what their needs are, monitoring those interventions, diagnosing their academic and behavioral needs. At both of these schools, the math rates are in decline. And so that is definitely something that I would look at. Also, the foster youth and the English learners have a low graduation rate, and it's actually declining. So those are both things that would definitely be looked at closer to figure out what the academic and behavioral needs of those students are. In Tier 2 and 3, we would look closer at literacy support, intervention support, and the social emotional learning and academic support that these students need. I would also implement a partners in learning approach. This is where students and teachers work collaboratively to have better student outcomes. It's a collective efficacy approach where teachers have the belief that they do have the ability to help students succeed despite their demographic makeup and their socioeconomic status or their language that they speak. The way they do this is the teachers really get clarity on what it is that they want students to learn. And when they have that set up, they clarify the learning goals for students so that students understand what it is they are supposed to learn. And then the teachers establish success criteria. How will they know when the students have learned it? From there, they collect evidence. This is the inquiry approach, where the teachers collect evidence to really assess if the students are learning. And the real emphasis here in this approach, the partners in learning approach, is maximizing peer and self-assessment. So the students are really becoming lifelong learners and being able to identify for themselves based on the success criteria and understanding the learning intentions and goals where they are and what they need to do to get to the appropriate level of success. These are the references for this presentation.